Steve Harvey is in the business of helping people buy and sell businesses. He's the CEO and founder of Business Finders Canada, a company that's about to roll out right across the country. We're going to find out the top 5 reasons to have an exit strategy. Steve, welcome to the show.
Randy, thanks for having me.
Buying and selling businesses. Actually, you're a commercial real estate broker. Is that how it works?
Correct, yeah. We're a full service commercial real estate office, and we specialize in the sale of business transactions.
Now we, follow the business news and hear about these big transactions where huge companies acquire each other, and yet the real world of business is in all these smaller businesses, the SMEs across the country. These are the companies that are actually driving the economy. And yet, these smaller companies, when it's time to sell, they have no idea how to do it.
Correct, yeah. So 89% of the businesses actually are in the category you just mentioned.
If I own my own business and I may be employing 15, 20 people, could be a manufacturing business, retail or whatever, and this is what I've been doing my whole life, I really have no clue how the process would work to find a buyer and what it's worth and all that. So that's what you guys do.
Yeah, that's where we come into play. I mean, as a business owner, sure, you've started your business, you've grown your business, and you're great at doing, making your business work. When it comes to selling it, why would you understand that process?
So how did you figure this out?
Well, I've been involved in businesses for many years. I owned my first business back in 1992, where I owned a commercial. I was a commercial pilot, and that didn't work out for me. I've learned a lot over the years, and the costs to operate that business were a little more expensive than I was anticipating.
Yeah.
And
you were a young guy, obviously.
I was right out of school, college, where I had got my commercial pilot's license. And at the time, there really wasn't a lot of jobs out there for commercial pilots.
So, and actually, that's how a lot of people, especially in this day and age, are ending up getting into their own business because, the field that they want to enter, they almost have to create their own opportunity.
Yeah, we see it all the time. In fact, we probably deal with about 60% of business owners that are looking to buy businesses have never owned a business before.
Wow. So in your case, you started your own business out of necessity. I must admit, you're the first pilot I ever talked to that started his own airline. So that's cool. And then you went tell me a little bit more about your career path and how you came to be owning your own business brokerage.
Sure. So I left the airline industry, and of all things, I got into the book business, and I was importing books from the U.S. into Canada. From that, I went into franchising. I bought actually an auto security franchise, and it was before there was really the key fobs that everybody uses today and the kill switches that are out there. And so it was a pretty unique idea, and it was way ahead of its time. And I got involved with actually the franchisor, and we also started selling franchise. So I was the franchisee in Calgary, and I was also working with the franchisor in selling the franchises. Moved on from there into packaging. And we were doing international packaging. So we were packaging goods all over North America. We were bringing in the packaging from Asia. And so we were basically brokering the business of the packaging to North American clients. And that's what, got me interested into business brokering. When I started looking for another business, I sat down with, a commercial realtor. I sat down with other business brokers. And I saw the niche that was missing, and some of these people that I was speaking with really didn't understand the process that I was looking for, and I ended up searching out a better way, as people say, and I found a guy out of the U.S. that had sold about 5,000 companies himself personally. So
he sold 5,000 of these smaller businesses
over his
working
25
as a
years.
business broker.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he was extremely knowledgeable in that side of things. And business brokering is quite large in the U.S. It's not as big in Canada. And so I took those concepts. I met with him, and we got along really well. There was no competitive issues. He was in the U.S. in the East Coast. I was in Canada on the West Coast, and Canadianized it, and threw in the confidentiality portion of it, as most business owners are, not wanting everybody to know that they're selling.
Well, confidentiality is a huge part of it, because if I've got my business, I've got my employees, and I want to get out, how do I do that without causing alarm among the employees? And the key is confidentiality. You described, so your background was really a perfect setup to do what you're doing, because you're dealing with any kind of business.
Right.
And so you can relate to what the business owner is going through. So what are the top 5 reasons to have an exit strategy then?
So you want to be able to maximize your value. You want to be able to choose the time of when you exit.
When you talk about maximizing your value, that is really the key reason, because if you don't prepare, it's one thing to run the business and operate it and do what you're doing, but by thinking about an exit, you can do certain things to prepare your company to be more saleable. Basically,
Absolutely.
what it boils down to. Give me an example of what you're talking about there.
Well, you need to start preparing your financials way ahead of when you decide to sell. So, we recommend 2 to 4 years out as a minimum. The way you run your financials look very differently, for the tax man than they do when you're, ready
Right.
to set your business up for sale. You need to clean your books up. You need to have audited financials. You need to get your operations in place. Employees are another thing. You want to make sure you've got outstanding talent that works for your organization.
And you need to have them contracted, and those contracts in place with your employees, where you may have had the same employee for many years, you don't even have a contract with them. Same with your accounting. You don't need audited financials except when it's time to sell. It makes a big difference. What are a couple other reasons to have an exit strategy?
So you want to be able to, you want to be in control of the process. So you want to determine what triggers the exit. And if you don't prepare for that, life happens. So, of course, people think about wanting to sell, but you know what? Death happens, illness happens, divorce happens, corporate restructure happens. So you need to prepare and look at looking at advanced schedule of, those things you're not thinking about, but they could happen. So you should always be ready or be in a position to sell. And if you don't have your books in order and your staff in place and your business cleaned up.
Steve Harvey, an expert in buying or selling a business. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Steve.
Great.
Real pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Up next on Biz One-on-One, personal finance author Grant Powell.
You think you know The Brick? Sure, everyone knows The Brick is the place for the guaranteed lowest prices on home furnishings. But do you know how we do it? Buying power, that's how. The Brick has over 200 locations across Canada, with over 7 million square feet of showrooms. That means we buy a lot of stuff from all over the world. And the more we buy, the more you save. The Brick. Saving you more. That's not just a slogan. Saving you more is our obsession.
Wonder lives in you. It's the moments that capture you and make you feel alive, leaving you breathless, wanting more. Feed your imagination, because some things are worth dreaming about, and some things are worth living. Rediscover your wonder.
Shoveling snow in January and February is hard work. That's why there's Eden. Eden, the leader in on-demand cold weather snow removal and warm weather lawn care, makes it easy to request a professional and fully insured contractor to remove your snow right from your smartphone. Eden is designed for busy professionals, people with aging parents or physical limitations, snowbirds, and of course, people who just hate shoveling. Download the Eden app in the iTunes or Google Play Store today and enjoy 15% off your first job by using the promo code EdenTV.
Every time I come in, Chris always follows up with me, always asks me how my service was, if there's anything that they could have done better. He makes me feel really important.
You're not going to get treated better. The work done was awesome, but I thought that the personal touch and the service, Chris was always top-notch.
We've met new employees, and if I go back the next time, they know who we are. Whenever I take our cars in, I feel like I'm someone special. They treat me extremely well.
Grant Powell is a lifelong entrepreneur with a diverse background. He's been a stuntman, a contractor, a track and field star, you name it. Today, Grant owns and operates a branch of Home Financing Solutions, the Mortgage Center, and his greatest joy is helping people achieve their financial dreams. Welcome to the show, Grant.
Thanks.
It's so great to have you here. You sound like I have a pretty diverse background myself, but I haven't written a book yet. And you've written a book, The Alternative Mortgage Financing, yes. Leveraging Your Best Option. You are really passionate about helping people achieve their financial dreams. So tell us about the book.
Yeah, it was through the years just dealing with different clients and seeing the obstacles that they face and the stories of overcoming different challenges and questions, simple questions that a lot of clients have. So I wanted to sort of share a bunch of the information so that to help educate applicants that are looking to get a mortgage about the different types of financing and where to get it and what sort of things to look for as far as whether it's fees, hidden costs, that kind of thing.
You know, getting a mortgage, I mean, that seems like the simplest thing ever. You go down to your bank and you fill out the application, and they tell you what how you can buy a house. But there's so much more behind that. And you, having been in business for yourself, understand that a lot of people don't fit the old-time structure where they have a steady job, the credit's perfect.
Yeah, you're correct. It's especially with the new regulations, it gets tougher and tougher every year. And then also when you look at it too, people have so many more diverse types of income than they used to. A lot of people, they're entrepreneurs mixed with part-time income, that kind of thing. So it's many options that they sort of have to look for to better their chance of getting a mortgage.
So the meltdown in the whole financial world in 2008 was caused by essentially a lot of abuse of the whole concept of financing properties. And you talk about more regulations. That's all over North America. There's more regulations. So that means that it's important for someone that's looking for a first-time home, or they want to move up, or they want to take some money out of their house, to talk to someone like you.
Yeah, you're correct. It's having that plan in place, or at least understanding your options. So when you're looking at doing different types of financing or looking at possibilities, you actually know the process and you know the timing of when to do these certain, whether it's equity takeouts and stuff like that, in order to best leverage your existing property to either get more property or to pay out debt or that kind of thing. And that's what I sort of cover in the book. It's leverage your best options. So leverage what you have to make your options, the best possible direction to make it come true.
So give me a couple of examples about that, because most people have most of their money, like the average person has a lot of money tied up in their family home.
Yes.
So you have ways of them accessing that money to provide a better lifestyle, but also in some cases to make more income for themselves.
Yes, correct. And it's the timing. Sometimes especially with debt consolidation or refinancing, it's the timing of making sure income and your credit is not pushed down as to a low level before you actually take the steps to refinance.
So we have a lot of people that watch this show that are business owners themselves, and oftentimes they don't fit the boxes that the banks, it doesn't check off properly. So you can help them. Yes,
that's in this book. There's a bunch of alternative type financing especially for entrepreneurs that don't fit the regular bank mold, because there's all different options there. And the intention is to get those clients into whatever type of alternative financing to begin with, and then try to take those steps so that they are bankable. So we promise to share with our viewers the top 3 mistakes that people make when they're taking equity out of their house. And the number one mistake is people wait too long, especially when it comes to debt consolidation or people that want to start a business and they want to release some equity before they start the business. They wait too long to either their credit score is too low that we can't refinance them into a regular low interest rate mortgage, or in the case that they're starting a business, they wait till they started the business, and then now we can't get them the lowest interest rate mortgage because they're not gainfully employed.
And by the way, note to self, every single time you start a business, you're gonna need more money than you thought you needed. So go
Yes.
get more money up front before you've gotten into business for yourself.
Exactly.
While you have a regular income, build up your credit if you're planning to start a business.
Yes, exactly. And then you can always, if you have excess capital, you can always, once your business is up and running, you can always put that back onto your mortgage.
Right.
So,
Number two.
number two is fail to plan a budget. And I see that all the time with people that go into a renovation, and then they get halfway through the renovation and they've run out of money. So then they're not bankable now because their house is ripped apart. So we can still get them financing, but it's more of on a private type financing, so a short-term fix. So that's really important, and that's the same with, like you say, with the business for self, is planning that budget and maybe doubling it to make sure you have those available funds.
Number three?
Number three is with equity, and especially with the retirement years, if you've got a lot of sleeping equity, 1 out of 2 people in their 60s right now will live to 92 years old.
Yahoo! That's me.
So one of the things is a lot of people only have a savings to sustain the life till they're 75 or 80. So how do we go about structuring all your assets to make sure that you can have an awesome retirement and have enough funds available for your kids, say if they want to get into a mortgage or if you want to go traveling and that kind of thing.
Grant Powell owns his own mortgage brokerage firm. You're writing your second book, so I'm going to invite you back to Biz One-on-One when you've got that second book written. Thanks for being here.
Thanks.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Up next on Biz One-on-One, NHL super agent Ritch Winter.
You think you know the Brick? Sure, everyone knows the Brick is the place for the guaranteed lowest prices on home furnishings. But do you know how we do it? Buying power, that's how. The Brick has over 200 locations across Canada, with over 7 million square feet of showrooms. That means we buy a lot of stuff from all over the world. And the more we buy, the more you save. The Brick. Saving you more. It's not just a slogan. Saving you more is our obsession.
Wonder lives in you. It's the moments that capture you and make you feel alive, leaving you breathless, wanting more. Feed your imagination, because some things are worth dreaming about, and some things are worth living. Rediscover your wonder.
Shoveling snow in January and February is hard work. That's why there's Eden. Eden, the leader in on-demand cold weather snow removal and warm weather lawn care, makes it easy to request a professional and fully insured contractor to remove your snow right from your smartphone. Eden is designed for busy professionals, people with aging parents or physical limitations, snowbirds, and of course, people who just hate shoveling. Download the Eden app in the iTunes or Google Play Store today and enjoy 15% off your first job by using the promo code EdenTV.
Peter, who's outside?
That guy? I saw him the chainsaw this morning.
Our next guest was once called the first player agent superstar. He is the most written and read about agent in the history of Canadian sport. His actions eventually led to the ousting, conviction, and incarceration of Canadian hockey czar Alan Eagleson on fraud and racketeering charges. That changed the course of professional hockey as we know it. Today, Ritch Winter of Winter Sports is going to talk about what he's up to now, and he'll share with us the ultimate definition of success in sports and in life. And Ritch, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Randy.
I'm honored to call you a friend. We happen to be fairly close, so it's great to have you here. Ritch, tell us briefly about the Alan Eagleson story. It's kind of old news these days, but some of these young hockey players that are doing so well, they are living a different life because of what happened with Alan Eagleson.
Oh, well, Alan had his hands in everything. He was partners with the owners. He really had complete control of the sport, including international hockey at one stage. And it was just really a group of American players more than anything else who enrolled the help of people like myself to stand up, and they decided there was about time for change. And so with their support, it's hard to imagine in this day of the multi-million-dollar athlete that we had 250 players at their own expense fly down to Florida and challenge their union leader, because hockey players aren't traditionally, they're pretty team-oriented. They're not really ones to challenge authority. And you think about that now and you think, wow. And, the players today, those guys, a debt of gratitude. They put a lot on the line for them.
Now, this program, Biz One-on-One, we talk to entrepreneurs, business owners, people at all different stages of the business life cycle. Are you a lawyer, a businessman, a hockey agent? What are you?
I would think at the end of the day, I'm a relationship expert. I think at the end of the day, life and business comes down to relationships, and it's no different whether you're visiting with the chief of a First Nations band, which I was doing earlier today, or dealing with the CEO of a major company, or dealing with an athlete. It's the relationship they have. People want to do business with people they enjoy spending time with. So it's investing in those relationships that ultimately are, I think, the best investments one will make in life.
And in the hockey world, you've become one of the most, I don't know whether you're the most successful, but you're probably the most famous agent, mainly in your early days because of your confrontational approach. And didn't you actually punch, or he punched you, Glenn Sather, one of the most iconic general managers?
Yeah, I guess it's funny when you think about it in life. At one point, Glenn did punch me. I deserved it, actually, because I kind of challenged him in front of his coaches, and that I was young and inexperienced, and that wasn't appropriate. I mean, he didn't have the right to punch me, but had the right to be very upset. And so Glenn is probably certainly is the only general manager that's ever punched me, who I've also told how much I love him, because I've learned over time that Glenn's a very loyal guy. He's, reached the end of his career. We've had a lot of time to talk about the things that have come to pass, and, I've really come to realize, I mean, that's an example of the relationship started a little rough, but it's worked out to be
I mean, you were
one of the ones I cherish.
confrontational with him representing your players, right? And that was the same story with Alan Eagleson. I remember you being completely, you were whacked out of how upset you were about Alan Eagleson. And you came to me when we were both in our 20s, and I was starting my career, and you were doing you were going to be a hockey agent, and you're saying, I'm going to take down this Alan Eagleson guy. I'm thinking, Ritch, this isn't how you're going to get in the door.
Well, I mean, it grew out of a small town background where you stood up to people who do the wrong thing, but I don't know. I find it astonishing. I did a couple of shows a few years ago in Toronto, and the producer wanted me to autograph a whole bunch of stuff. And I guess I was lucky not to realize how influential he really was, because Alan Eagleson out in Edmonton, or a little town I grew up outside of Calgary, he was a known commodity a little bit because he'd organized international hockey. But in Toronto, the guy was... he was the man.
So you've branched out from hockey, and I remember as a hockey agent and a lawyer, you were dabbling in other business ventures through your 20s and 30s. What do you, obviously you've been very successful as an agent. What are you up to outside of the hockey world, and what advice can you give to people, business owners that maybe are interested in doing something else, because that's what you're doing?
Well, I study a lot of behavioral science, and I think it's really interesting. There's a thing in your brain called the reticular activating system, and what it does is filter what you pay attention to. And I've learned over in life that if you load it with something, if you find a goal that you're passionate about, you'd be surprised how things unfold, because there's so many opportunities that pass us by because we weren't convinced that we could achieve that goal. And you talk to people like Mark Cuban and some others. Once you believe in something, you become passionate of something, and it's the belief. Once you believe it, you'll start noticing opportunities. Like, I remember I wanted to be a hockey agent when I was 12. That was like the greatest blessing in my life, because when a movie came to town, I thought, well, maybe I should join that because it's an entertainment, it might be close to sports, and it led to lots of things. Me being a stuntman at one point, me going to Los Angeles, me getting a job with a sports agency. But I would never have done that. So I think the best advice is really get a goal and focus on it.
What are you up to these days, Rich? Like, what have you branched out into? What's the most interesting sort of business thing that you're working on?
Well, I'm working on, right now, one of the biggest, most pressing problems facing the country right now. 2,000 of the arenas, 2,000 to 3,000 arenas in the country are currently operating past their useful life expectancy. So if we don't,
infrastructure issue.
If we don't solve this, we will become the hockey's equivalent of England in soccer. We will not have the players. Right now, we're down to 15% of boys between the age of 8 and 16 playing hockey. And I'm concerned about it because what happened in the old days was that people came to Canada, came to a community, and we bonded together by playing hockey. You know, and our parents sat together in the stands. And we have a very migrant community, lots of immigrants coming here, lots of children who want to play and be Canadian. They want to be with their friends, and they can't afford to play our national pastime. And if we can't fix that, the chances of us fixing the kind of problems they're seeing manifest themselves in America, we're in trouble. And so we need a solution. And without getting into the details, that's one of my focuses right now.
Ritch Winter from a small community, an old buddy. Thanks for coming on the show, Rich.
Hey, Randy.
Appreciate it.
Meet Andre. He's the founder of a new craft brewery. Andre has had early success with his company, but now he needs investors to help him grow his business and take it to the next level. This is where Front Funder comes in. You see, at Front Funder, we approach investing differently. We connect Andre to people like you and Mike, a craft beer enthusiast. By investing in Andre's company, Mike can continue to enjoy his craft beer while owning a piece of his favorite brewery. Then there's Kathy. She's a professional investor looking to diversify her portfolio. She also sees the potential for financial return in Andre's company. So Kathy invests through Front Funder. Front Funder enables you to support businesses you believe in. We screen all of our companies and perform an in-depth review, helping you make an informed investment decision. We make online investing simple and accessible to everyone. Select your favorite company, pay for your shares, and become an owner. It's that simple. An online investment experience from start to finish.